Hey everybody, Jiggin Jerry here. Well, today I'm out here, as you can see, freshwater pond. We used to call it sneak fishing back in the day when you go around looking for ponds that you weren't sure who the owners were, and you go out there and you try to see if there's any big lunker bass hiding, and brim and crappie, and sometimes some pickerel. But in this case, this day and age, just make sure you know who the owner is, get permission. I'm out here, I got permission to fish these ponds, and I'm going to show you guys some of my bass techniques in sneak fishing using certain rubber worms and some jigs. You know, I love to flip artificials, and I like to jig those things. So let's see what I can find, and we'll get back to you, and we'll see what we got. Trying to see if I can lure a largemouth bass out with a worm. Now the only action I see so far working the top of the water is some brim. So since there's that many brim here, oh, I just got my first strike. Let him run with it. Well, I was able to sneak up some largemouth bass so far, guys. Watermelon red flake does the trick every time. It's one of my first rubber worms I like to use when I'm sneak bass fishing. Now, if there's a little one like this out there, I'm sure there's some bigger ones, so let's find out. Hey everybody, just in case you're wondering, a lot of fishermen like to hide what they're using, but you know, when I start out at a sneak pond, first thing I like to use is a zoom trick worm, watermelon red flake. It's always my first enticer, and bass in most ponds seem to love them. So before I get into the fancy stuff, I take this worm right here and I set it up, no weight, just a weedless hook, and I go at it, and it usually seems to bring me my most luck. If you try it, I hope it brings you yours too. Alright. Well, gonna move along this pond here, try some other spots, like these little holes here. Let's see what we can find. See which one produces the best bass, has the best cover. Let's see what happens. I don't know, that looks pretty good to me. Let's give it a try. I usually like to try up close first, in case there's any hiding fish. And if I don't produce any stripes up close, I'll move in and stand over there. I'm reeling fast across debris, right at top of the water. I stop right after the debris and I let it fall. If there's a bass hiding around in that debris or under that debris, need to text that fast action, and then I let it drop into the clear. When there's one there, I've caught a lot of large bass doing that, knowing that I can't work the worm inside of all that muck in there and on top of the water. Usually entices a pretty good strike. Another thing is if I'm not satisfied with my cast and I put my worm way out there and I say, okay, I'm not happy with that, I'm going to bring it in. Do the same thing. I do it fast across the top of the water, and then I slow down a little bit just before I get in. For the heck of it, I just drop it. That way, sometimes you accidentally lure in a big fish or a small fish, doesn't matter. It's all fun. You lure them in right there, and poof, they're waiting for it and they grab it. Not this time for me, but just a little bit of what I like to do. All right. That's one thing about ponds that aren't fished that much. You have to really learn how to cast in structure that hasn't been cleared out, and special little underflips and little spin casts and everything else. Fishing, I'll tell you, the finesse, your rod, your reel, your line, how to work it, how to place that bait in areas like this that just do not have a lot of room. Really helps. But believe me, you're going to get in a lot of trees, a lot of bushes, but it's still fun. One thing I have determined is that these bass in this pond are hanging around over by the small spillway down there, and they haven't been around the rest of the pond, and that's fine with me. This is my first time at this pond. I'm trying it out. I'm trying different techniques. Now that I know where they're built up at, I'll just go back to where I know they're hanging around and then I'll finish my day off having a good time catching them. Now that I've worked around the pond and I've seen how they function, time to get busy. All right. That was a bigger one. Oh, I don't know how he got off. That's crazy. I want a rematch of that. Oh man. He got lucky. He didn't want to be a star. That's just so not fair. Oh, that was a gorgeous bass. Alright, so maybe there are bigger ones there. That was unexpected. Now we're talking. All right, guys. Woo-hoo-hoo. They're beautiful, aren't they? Let him go softly. Yeah, rematch. When I'm under overlying trees like this, sometimes I like to do that little pop up in the air and let the worm just plop the water. Bass have a habit of, in structure like this, in these overlying trees up near the bank, waiting for something to fall out of the limbs. A bug, anything. And sometimes when you, instead of giving it that hard flippy cast, you just toss it up in the air and let it get that little bloop. They're already lying there waiting. They come over, investigate it, see it slowly falling down, because I don't use weighted worms. All I use is just the hook. It allows me to slower finesse, slower drop, wiggle it through weeds. I pull less debris in with me. As you can see, they like it. What I'm doing is giving it a couple of fast twitches, a couple of fast pops, and then letting it fall. And as it's slowly falling, that's how you can tell they're not that aggressive right now. They're hitting slow action. They're picking it up once it gets to the bottom, but they're not going after it during the fast twitch. Now, in hot summer months when they're more aggressive, you see that pow explosion, they'll hit it right in that twitch. But when they're slow, all the twitch is doing is alerting them to the direction that something's moving. And catching me some bass. Nothing that big yet. This fish cut himself. So what I did was I pulled the hook backwards out through the gill. And I'm going to cut my line. And I'll just retie, because I'm not going to lose that fish. Because of a hook. He just swallowed it a little bit too deep where it just nicked his stomach. So what I wanted to do is just make sure that I didn't rip it out of his stomach, that I backed it, pulled it loose from his stomach and backed it out through his gills so I didn't have to rip up. Now, he'll survive successfully, and I didn't cause any internal injuries on him. And I'll just go ahead and retie. And one thing I'll let you all know, not try to scare anybody now. When you're working these ponds, make sure you keep your eye out now, because especially when you're close to the bank, some of these smaller ponds and large ponds hold some serious sized alligators where I'm fishing. So if you're out here and you're doing this and you go find yourself a pond and you get permission and it's really not maintenance that well and it's pretty rural, be careful. Keep your eyes out. You got rattlesnakes, water moccasins, copperheads, and alligators. It won't be anything for an 8-foot alligator to jump out of that water and grab a hold of your leg. I've seen up to 12-foot alligators in some of these ponds that just have been feeding on deer and all kinds of things. Not touched. Uh-oh. Looks like we got some company, guys. Well, it's always good to talk to you. And catch some real nice bass, too. That's a beauty. Ha 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 ha. All right. Now. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed my sneak fishing, with permission, of course, and a little bit of tricks of the trade that I wanted to share with y'all and show you these nice little fish. And for everyone else out there that already knows all these tricks, well, bring your childhood back. Get back out there. Find some of these ponds, get permission, fish them up, have a good time. Well, hey, don't forget, look down, there's a subscribe button, go ahead and click it. I got more videos to come, and like I always say, good luck out there, and enjoy some fishing.